Lies. Lies. This comes out of nowhere. Hi, my name is Lacey, and welcome to my recap of episode 7 of The Big D. If you like my recaps, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you know when my next one is live. I do a ton of more dating shows, and I would really like to get into more movie tier lists and stuff like that. So if you're into that sort of thing, please consider subscribing. I'm trying to reach 100 subscribers by the end of the year, so thank you for your support. I'm gonna take off my glasses. Continuity! We left episode 6 on a cliffhanger. The women were deciding who they were going to eliminate between Blair, Takor, and I think Dean was in the mix, but it was mostly Takor and Blair. Blair because he's not ready to explore a relationship with Dee Dee, and Takor because he's insane. The ultimate decision came down to Blair leaving, which makes sense because he kind of got as far as he was gonna. There was no romantic connection in there for him, and he was with Dee Dee gone because Dee Dee was the only one that he was connecting with, and he didn't want to take it further with her, so makes sense. But this angers me because this means that Takor is still here, and I have a problem with that. Amber talks to Dean really quick after elimination, and she said how much she stood up for him and how she was almost getting thrown under the bus because of his behavior. So that was very interesting. And she also said that she didn't lose her temper even though she stood up for him, and he was very happy that she didn't lose her temper, and he sees that as growth. The next morning, Joe and Takor are hitting it off by the pool. He's talking about how he wished Dee Dee, his ex, had a little bit more personality when they were together. And Joe is kind of thinking that, you know, she might be interested in Takor and that he's a great guy. Debatable. The challenge is a tantric yoga session. So they have to do these sexy tantric yoga poses, look deep in each other's eyes in some of them you can't. And then Jada and the host are gonna decide on who they think has the best physical and emotional, intimate connection. We have Alexis and Devin, who she says that we're too big to do this because they had too much in each other's faces for some of the moves. Dean and Amber, in their confessional, they said, we had practice in our marriage. We had practice with tantric stuff, sex in our marriage. Angelique and David are doing well and all like, ooh, flirty. Takor and Joe, in one of their face-to-face poses, they share a little smooch. Ben pairs with Casey, and he says that he's a little uncomfortable because he grew up Mormon, and so with his whole religious background and conservative background, he's like, oh, I don't know about this. But luckily for Ben, Casey is a teeny tiny pocket-sized person, and he can throw her around in all sorts of yoga poses, and they win the challenge. And that means they get to go on a lovely lunch date surrounded by butterflies. I think the date is like the following day. However, the bad news for everybody is that there will be no more immunity, and that every elimination will be a double elimination. So they're going to be kicked out as couples now and not singles. And no one is safe. That night is Casey's birthday, and Joe and Takor decide to make steak and potatoes, as requested by the birthday girl, and dinner for everybody. While Takor starts prepping for dinner, Joe says, hey, okay, can you man this just real quick? Because I'm going to go talk to Amber for a second. Joe wanted to apologize for the animosity between the two of them at elimination. A lot of it probably stems from Joe's relationship with Dean, and then, then Amber came, he changed, ditched Joe, etc. So they have a nice little conversation to kind of squash things and move forward. But meanwhile, Takor is in the kitchen getting angrier by the second. He's talking to himself like, oh, I guess I'm not being helped. I guess I'm doing everything myself. He feels ditched by Joe because she's having a conversation with Amber. And then when Joe comes in and starts to say, oh, okay, Takor, can you do this? And then Ben, can you do this? And then Amber, can you do this? And then Takor says, oh, no, I've already done something. I don't remember what it is. It's not important. And she goes, oh, okay, well, then I'll let you get back to it. And this does not sit well with Takor. He says, yeah, I started with no help, so I'll just get back to it. So he takes big offense to this. He feels not helped, and he makes it known. Dean is also in the kitchen, and he says that he wants to make a joke to kind of lighten the mood, but he knows that if Takor is in a mood, don't joke about it. It's only going to get worse. Joe, however, is joking with Ben because I guess they don't know any better, and she's just kind of like pretending like everything's fine. This just makes Decor, the temperature, the heat is rising, and soon it's going to come out his ears like little steam. At the birthday dinner, everybody's going around saying, oh, this was lovely. Thank you for dinner. Thank you for making it. Who made the salad? And then Joe was like, oh, Ben made the salad, just like tossed it. He did nothing. Amber was was working on the potatoes or something like that. And before she even finishes with Ben, really, like you kind of hear her underneath. Decor talks over her and is like, oh yeah, Ben deserves all the credit. Yeah, F you, Ben. You deserve no credit, Ben. And it's like, damn. Like, maybe, I don't know if this is true, but maybe Joe was saving Decor for last because he did the most work. You know, kind of like, X did something little, Y did something little, but most of all, Z did blah, blah, blah. Let's give her, I don't know if it was that. I can't speak for Joe, and she did not say that that was the case. But maybe it was. I don't know. But Decor gets pissed, and it doesn't even get that far. Casey is like, hey, Joe, Decor, his energy is off. And Joe's like, on it. I'm going to go talk to him. So she pulls Decor outside. Joe asks Decor, like, hey, what's up? What's going on? Why are, you have a little bit low energy. What's going on with you? And Decor says, he blames her for flirting with Ben, about the salad, about making jokes, about not helping him with dinner. She says, you're making this me versus you, and I'm on your side. I'm trying to support you. And he's just like not having it. Decor says, thank you for being a martyr. She says that he is a toxic person, and she is done with that piece of shit. So Joe walks away. Ben and Casey tell Decor to give Joe space. Of course, he doesn't listen to anybody. Joe says he's not worth her time. Everybody, all the couples are talking like separately as all this is going down and just saying like Decor needs to go. He needs therapy. This is happening every night. It's a pattern. He just gets upset and fights and gets drunk and fights and then cries and then fights and then cries and then fights and then cries. Casey says that she's just crushing on Ben and it's not fireworks yet. She likes a more alpha kind of guy, and Ben is a little bit more subtle, more chill, more in tune with his emotions, but she's still interested. But now everybody's questioning Casey and Ben. But now Joe, having had it with Decor, knows that her only other option is Ben in the house because everybody else is kind of coupled up. So now Joe is like, hey, I think I like Ben. Lies. This comes out of nowhere just because you're mad at Decor. Everybody knows this. She's not subtle. She's not slick. Joe tells Ben that she's into him, and he basically friend zones her and is just like, and she's like, okay, we'll think about it. And he's kind of like, okay, everybody's onto her. The next day is Casey and Ben's butterfly date, and they have a lovely lunch, and it's very pretty. Casey says that she's only here for him. There's nobody else here for her. And he says that he wants to step up for her and be more alpha. And he does something that he says he's been wanting to do for a while, and they smooch, and Casey is super happy, and she's saying now there are butterflies, and she's very much feeling Ben. And I don't know if this is a gameplay because of the Joe situation and because she was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said I'm not into Ben, but regardless, it could be real. And now Casey is very much saying she's in like with Ben. And Ben is also very happy, and butterflies and tingles and yay. Back at the house, Devin and Alexis are trying to help Joe and Decor have a conversation, and is like, okay, how about you guys sit down? How about you say what you need to say, and then you say what you need to say, and then we can move on. Joe says she felt attacked. Decor apologizes for not listening. She can't do it all if he's starting all of these little fires that she has to put out constantly. She can't save him from himself. And he apologizes, cries, and says he wants to get back on track. So now Joe is back with Decor and over Ben. Funny how that works. And Angelique tries to talk to Joe, saying Decor is not worth it. It is too much. It's a pattern. Please get out. And Joe's like, no, I stand by him. I'm going to support him, and we're going to make it work. And it's been so much better now that Dee Dee's gone. Has it? Has it? I mean, you were the one upset this time, so she just makes excuses for him, and Angelique's like, okay. It is time for elimination. And the hosts talk to everybody a little bit. They talk about Casey and Ben's date. They're like, hey, how was it? Casey says, now there are butterflies. They shared a kiss. Ben says he's super happy. Casey needed to make sure to say, hey, now I like him, you know, so she's not at risk. Ben says it was the first time he hasn't thought about Angelique since they broke up. Progress. Good for him. Joe says she doesn't waver, that she's very supportive of Decor, and then she gets immediately called out for flip-flopping with the whole Ben situation the night before. Joe stands by it and is like, no, no, no. Decor. Then there's a whole fight between Casey and Amber versus Joe. Pretty much about semantics, like you fight all the time. No, it wasn't a fight, it was an argument. And it's like, oh my God. It doesn't matter. Okay, yeah, people weren't going to throw hands, but it was an argument. It was a fight. She blames her little thing with liking Ben on a weak moment between her and Takor. Joe is full of shit. Joe is full of shit. She gets called on it, and she shuts down. That's what happens when you lie. Takor stands up for Joe, and he says he supports her, and whatever. Then all the couples, everybody was situated by male-female, but now they sit with their respective couples, and they have to go around the group and say what couple they think should leave the island. Devin and Alexis pick Ben and Casey as the weakest couple because they're newish. I don't know why they think Joe and Takor are gonna work. Whatever. Amber and Dean pick Joe and Takor because they say they are toxic for each other. I agree. Joe and Takor pick Casey and Ben because they think that they are the weakest couple, and obviously they can't pick themselves. Well, they could pick themselves, but they're not gonna because they're stupid. Casey and Ben pick Takor and Joe because they're supposed to be in a honeymoon stage right now. It's a new relationship, and all they do is fight constantly because Takor needs therapy. Angelique and David also pick Takor and Joe. Angelique says she wants the best for Joe, and that is not Takor because he needs work on himself. Amen. Amen. And this means that, thank Jesus, Takor and Joe are gone. Mostly Takor. That's Joe raised some red flags this episode, but Takor has been raising red flags like constantly. So I'm so glad to have him off my screen. He really had me fuming. Joe, in her exit, blames not having closure because her ex wasn't there. So she blamed that. I don't know. And she says she needs to grow and work more. She backs Takor. And Takor reads a little something. It's something somebody else wrote. It's nice. He said this was his worst nightmare being on the show, but he's going to grow and move forward with it. And he looks forward to the challenge that lies ahead, and he appreciates Joe. I'm so glad he's gone. I'm so glad he's gone. What did you all think of this week's episode of The Big D? Do you think the right couple went home? What do you think about Casey and Ben? Do you think Casey's playing a game? Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time.